If you only knew the power of the dark side.
2, 1, 0.
From the Sky Satellite Network, this is Sky One with Beat the Elite.
Yeah! Oh yes, you've gotta love those retro intro cards. Welcome, Yack watchers. I'm Harry Yack, here for a brand new commentary on a brand old show known as GamesWorld. You may have heard of it. I've already done a 10-minute commentary on one of these shows in the past. Now, that was a different flavour of GamesWorld show, because this is your fully fatitulated, full-fat, regular GamesWorld episode. That was just a bite-sized version for the computer channel, but this one was the one shown on Sky One. I'll just give you a bit of a background. They used to come on each weekday night, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and they had members of the public, kids, come in, play the games against each other, and then the winners would come back on Friday for Beat the Elite, which is what this episode is. And, as Bob Mills is explaining here, they would compete against the greatest the video game world had to offer, the Videators. They included Big Boy Barry, Electric Eddie, and many other brilliant dudes, but unfortunately we won't see any of those great people in this particular show.
Mr. Tim Boone! Thanks very much indeed, Bob. Well, of course it's Friday. What time is it? It's 1 minute past 6. You know what that means? It's playtime.
It is indeed. Let's have a look at our two contestants. Let's see what they thought about tonight's contest.
And now it's time for the contestants with their rhyming couplets, or whatever this is. Honest, they're making these up off the cuff.
My name's Simon. On Wednesday I was at the top. I've seen Mangatsu play, and he was a flop.
Yeah, brilliant Shakespeare, brilliant. Yes, they wrote those themselves, I'm sure. Ooh, Sonic's eyes looking a little bit scuffed up there. I wonder how many times he's been punched by irate 6-year-olds. Like when you go to Morecambe Funland, I think it was. Frontierland, that was it. And you punch that blasted squirrel in the nuts. Squirrel nuts. So here we have the winners of the weekly heats, played on Monday and Wednesday, if memory serves. They had to beat off 1 million people. No, I think it was about 5 or 6 others. And they would come back on Friday, as I've already mentioned. Now, the first game, Cash Dash, probably the most famous of all the GamesWorld games. Yes, you are some sort of Arnold Schwarzenegger type, or Die Hard character, Bruce Willis's character out of Die Hard, and you run around punching robots. Punching robots. That's the future.
Okay, whoever wins is through, whoever loses is off. Best of luck to both of you. Let's play.
Okay, once again, Simon's in green at the top, Mangatsu is in blue, his stack of coins at the bottom.
Must note that I've forgotten the name of the bloke. Is it Ed Boon or something like that from the magazines? I love his enthusiastic commentary on these. As if they were a football match or something. As if they actually mattered. And that's what sets this apart from Games Master in some senses. Because, listen to this, listen.
Now, as you can see, the guys can punch each other, try and thwart each other, punch each other out of the way.
You can't help but be dragged into that, can you? And that's why this was my favourite game in the whole of GamesWorld. You've got to love that little old lady in the top middle there, feeding the ducks, the invisible ducks, or maybe she's throwing stuff into the water. Look at all that money that's appeared on the left, go and pick it up quick! I often wonder if Cash Dash was actually a game specifically made for GamesWorld, or Games Master. I believe it was on Games Master as well at some point. There was a certain amount of crossover between the two Hewland shows. Yes, Hewland International produced both early evening shows on video gaming. They had a bit of a monopoly on that.
Is going to go through. Mangatsu, goodbye. Take him away, gentlemen. So, you're going to go through. You've got the biggest challenge of your life coming up. You've got to play the Videators. How do you think you're going to do?
I'll probably beat them.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well,
Right, so what's the first game this evening? I believe it's time to go over to Games Master, aka Ed Boon, to see. Oh, Mario, what's happened to your eyes there? You're turning into the Terminator. And now we spin the wheel and find out who exactly Simon is going to be playing to try and beat the Elite. As you can see there, there's some sort of monitor covered in rags. And we hit the randomizer, which isn't random at all, because I don't think they would have paid 5 or 6 or however many Videators there were people to come backstage for each individual show. It would have cost them too much. A bit like in Nightmare, where they had to have all the characters ready for the particular storylines. Here, he'd predetermined the blasted Videators so it wasn't random. My childhood has been betrayed once again. Urgh. But I'm not too mad.
Oh dear, it's Master Moriarty, and he's brought the nanny as well.
Master Moriarty, great pleasure. Oh, sorry. Hello, Nanny.
You got the European flag rotating in the background there, the EU flag. And Master Moriarty with his annoying hat. I used to hate this guy. Looking back, he isn't as annoying as I used to find him. But look, just look at him. Look at him. He's the kid you wanted to beat up at school, and I wasn't necessarily a violent person. But you just want to punch him in the face, don't you? Mostly because he'd beat you every time at video games beneath that posh exterior. He's a video game demon. Look at him! He's a blimmin' actor of some sort, isn't he? Yeah. Knee you in the nuts, kid. Pinch his lunch money in his lunch, actually. But, as I said, he's a demon, and he's probably gonna beat this kid at Street Fighter. Now, at this point, when we mention Street Fighter Turbo, you might wonder where on earth Grumpy Gaming HD is, because I believe this is one of his favourite games. Well, unfortunately, he's previously indisposed, but he'll be back soon for another commentary, I'm sure. I used to love Street Fighter. It was one of my favourite games. I bought it second-hand, or rather, I got it for my birthday second-hand, and it was fully boxed in the orangey goldy coloured box, rust coloured box. Except that was the original version. I think the Super HD Turbo version was in blue box. I didn't have that, I had the original. And I spent many, many hours beating up my brother. Not literally, in the game of course. Although I could never complete it on the highest level. I could do it on like the first 2 to 3 levels. I should go back to it and see if I can do it, shouldn't I? Now these two characters are fairly similar, broadly similar. I think in the arcade version, or some of the arcade versions, you could pick the bosses. Vega, M. Bison, Balrog, and whoever the hell the other one was. Sagat. Is it Sagat or Sagat? Sagat is something of an unfortunate pronunciation.
She's out of it with the drop. The kick, one more will finish her off. One more slash to finish her off. Down comes Vega from the ceiling. One more is all that Moriarty needs, and that's it with the buzz runner drop. It's all over. What a convincing win.
Is that it? It's over already? Jeez. He's battered him. Oh, and we've got to hear from this gimp again. I wonder how many retakes it took for him to do this.
Chiefly just don't be predictable.
Yeah, don't be so predictable. Okay, hopefully we'll...
Speaking of retakes, I was watching a video from... Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to put a link to his channel up on the description here, but... I was watching a video of someone who said they were on Games Master and they were showing the world the Games Master bomber jacket. Yes, such as the one that the kid is wearing there. And he said that he battered some kid in one of the earlier rounds, but he was in tears and he couldn't take it. So the producers came to him and said, "Would you like to refilm the thing?" And he was like, "There is no chance of that." I'll put a link to his channel, as I said, so you can watch that video.
You've got 42 points. How many do you want to bet?
21.
21, yes!
And now it's time to... Finger is on the button. Push the button again. Who's it gonna be? Aha! This bloke who we do not care about. Yes, he's some sort of bedroom coder type person. With his cash there! Look at him snickering away. He's a mid-20s millionaire in gaming. Those existed in the 80s, I believe. Or not. Right, he seems to have brought his receptionist along with him, who is no doubt porking on the side, but it's time to move on quickly. He's got a rather respectable haircut there, he's a very respectable gentleman, but his actions there are more befitting of a WWF wrestler. I do like the introductions in GamesWorld, where they clearly took a leaf out of the boxing handbook, the boxing textbook, except they're not being paid as much to throw the contests. Or are they?
Half of his kingdom, 21 points. He thinks he can beat you. What do you say? I'm afraid I'm just going to have to wipe that stupid smile.
And now we move on to the next game. It's Bomberman, one of my favourite games from childhood. Again, yes, it's something of an apt episode, this, because both games so far I have played to absolute death. I'm going to have to do videos on them at some point. Fully feticulated videos. There I go again with that term. Fully feticulated. Go and look it up in the book. It's a real word. I'm telling you. Actually, no, it's not.
Okay, for everybody at home, Mathers at the bottom in black, very fittingly. At the top in white, that is Simon. And as you can see, the guys just having to blow a passage through to each other. When they get towards the middle of the screen, that's when the real action will begin.
I was recently playing a version of Bomberman. A conversion, I believe it was. It was actually a conversion of Dynablasters called Mega Blasters on the Amstrad CPC. It's rock hard, I'll tell you now. I've not made use of the password system yet. Maybe it's going to be easier if I do that. I don't know if they reset your lives when you re-enter the password at the beginning of a new level. I'm going to have to go and do that because it's a lot of fun. Except I've still not figured out how to kick and punch bombs. Once again, Ed Boon with this fantastic commentary here. That's really what makes this show, I believe. Sets it apart from the others. GamesMaster had all sorts of different commentators on, but I think GamesWorld had the same guys on each week. They had a contract! Maybe they used the same contract as they did for GamesMaster and they had Hewland-wide contracts. But yes, back then, Hewland had an absolute monopoly on the early evening / tea time video games entertainment world.
Oh, he's just dropped a dud bomb. Don't try and mess with it. I'll put it off in your face. Drop some more.
In particular, on a Friday evening, I think, thinking back, they had 6 o'clock on Channel 4 GamesMaster and then 6:30 GamesWorld on Sky 1. Or did they schedule them to come on at the same time? I can't remember. The only reason I could think that they'd do that is because Channel 4 made them, because why would they put the two shows on at the same time, competing against each other? It just doesn't make good sense. Although I know the BBC and ITV do that with Strictly Come Dancing and The X Factor. And if you're not British, you won't know what the heck I'm on about there. Think American Idol and Dancing on Ice, but a bit more wussy-ish.
It means that nobody's made any mistakes so far. Watch those bombs go off. Anything can happen here. Now Mr. Mason picked up an extra bomb icon. Very nearly took a tumble there. He's picked up an extra speed icon. At the moment, Mathers has definitely got the upper hand in terms of icons, but Simon's playing a very cool game. What's happening here? No, they're both playing very smartly. This is white-knuckle stuff.
This is actually a quite exciting, intense battle in Bomberman here. You do know that Simon's going to lose in the end, don't you? Because these games are fixed. On very few occasions I actually remember the kids doing well at these, because those videators, they must have made a living out of playing games.
What a game! This is the best we've seen on GamesWorld so far. Can the screen shrink any further? Simon punts one in. I'm nearly out of breath there. These guys, this is a total standoff. It's a stalemate in chess terms. Have you ever seen anything like this?
Ah, that's it. He's lost, just as I expected. And we go into another round. There's going to be 4 rounds perhaps here.
Okay, now probably at home if Mathers can win this. Remember, he's in the black. He's won the whole thing. If Simon wins this round, we have to go to another 4th round. Let's wait and see how things go. Mathers is playing very, very cautiously, but both these guys are absolute pros. In fact, anybody watching at home...
Is it pronounced Mathers or Mathers? A bit like Eminem, Marshall Mathers. This was long, long before him, though. Eminem. Big shout out to Eminem. Wonder what happened to him. Is he still releasing stuff? I don't know. Does that count as RetroUnlim? I think it does now. He's been releasing stuff for over 10 years now. Possibly in the 90s. I can't remember. But yes, anything that's more than 10 years old automatically counts as retro now, doesn't it? So yes, I'm fine talking about him. Oh, he's blown himself up like a muppet. Ho 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 ho. Actually, in the next round, I'm going to have a go at commentating. I don't know what the game's going to be. Actually, I do, don't tell anyone. But I'm going to have a go at commentating whatever the next game is. The Ed Boon in the background writing something down. Probably some notes. I don't need notes. Real men don't need notes. Real men watching 144p and commentate without notes. Yeah! It's time for a break! Welcome back to Sky One. On Sky One, it's time for Beat the Elite with Bob Mills and that other bloke who I can't remember the name of.
Welcome back to an incredibly exciting Beat the Elite.
Yes, welcome back. I'm Harry Yack, and this is Beat the Elite on RetroUnlim TV. What's next? Who knows? Mario in the background there. Did I say he looks like the Terminator? I probably did. Those cheesy props in the foreground. Some sort of massive pantyhose, but what's the next game? Ah, some sort of Turtles fighter thing. I've never seen this before. It's going to be something of a challenge for me to commentate on this, because I've never played it. And that's a good point, actually, because the kids on this show, especially the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday editions, sometimes had never played the game before. I don't even know if they had the chance to practice. And they had to go up against these videators who'd been playing the game for weeks and weeks. In fact, some of these guys were from the magazines back in the early to mid-90s, and they made a living out of playing these games and talking about them, beating up their office mates and staying up till 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 a.m. completing the games. Personally, I've never done that myself. Real life comes before video games. Oh wait, sorry, I've got that the wrong way round.
Because, well, my genie ran out on me. He left me this note saying that he's gone away to become one of Santa's little helpers.
This is the Persian Prince of Perfection, a less memorable character. I don't know his real name. I don't know the real names of many of the characters, many of the videators. I know Alex Very is still going. He's Big Boy Barry. And was the Violet Blade Rick Henderson? Oh, I can't remember. He's not in this show, so it doesn't matter. Right. It is time for me to step up to the plate and do some commentary on this. I'm going to have a go at being a GamesWorld commentator. So here we go. Hold on a minute. Just give me a sec. Let me get my bearings here.
Let battle commence.
And off we go with the third round of Beat the Elite. We've got Simon on the right there and the Persian Prince of Perfection on the left. Nobody cares about the blasted Persian Prince. We all want the kid to do well. So, Persian Prince, why don't you throw the game now, you utter muppet? For the sake of entertainment, you must do it. Because nobody's ever gonna come on the show again if they see that the people are unbeatable. That was a bit of a strange move there from one of the turtles. It's impossible to tell the difference between them. I think they cancelled each other out there with the Sonic Boom rip-off move. And Raphael has won. That round goes to the Persian Prince. The PPP, as we call him, which is a little bit like PPI He's using the E-Honda headbutt move there copiously. I used to enjoy playing as E-Honda, but let's get back to this particular fight and this particular game. I don't know who that is in the background there, that big monster type thing. I wasn't a huge viewer of all the different cartoons. I watched the first series, and well, the first few series on VHS from my local Jack Beanstalk video. Oh, there's that nasty move again where he's stabbing him with the fox like he was a sausage. I could really go for some sausage right now. And the fight is over. The Persian Prince of Perfection remains the champion. But hold on a minute. There's another round yet. It must be best of 5. Do your research, Harry Yack. Do your research. But surely the Persian Prince is gonna win this now. He's 2 up, and Simon is useless at this game. As I said, he's never played it before. This is the first time he's even picked up a SNES controller. Did you know that? Ah, you didn't, did you? Some amazing insight into GamesWorld and its associated filming. Back to the fight. And what's the point commentating on this anymore? You know who's gonna win. It is, of course, the Prince of Perfection! Ah. And Simon has gone down. He only had 5 points on that round. And it was something of a clever tactic.
The Persian Prince of Perfection!
Turn off my commentator mode. I'd just like to say, as the Persian Prince walks back to his dressing room, gets changed back into his normal clothes for the day job. He only got paid a tenner for this. Usually gets paid 10 quid an hour to write for Mean Machines magazine, probably. I've completely forgotten what I was talking about, but here's Heindel, which is actually where I got my name from. Heindliak or Hindliak. True dat. So Simon, how many points?
1.
Just 1. Whoa!
Just 1 point. Yes. That's very wise, because as we've seen so far, he's not very good at video games, is he? He's actually worse than me, but then he is only 12 or 13 or something like that, isn't he? And I'm not going to tell you how old I am, because it's something of an embarrassment, because I'm still quite terrible at video games for my age. When I went to replay last year, I played against numerous people, many of them 10 to 15 year olds, and got battered by all of them. One of those included Darren Walshop. I'm not saying he's 10 to 15 years old. I'm just saying I'm terrible at video games. Big shout out to Darren Walshop. He's got a fantastic YouTube channel. So Heindel, yes. This was used in Games Master as well. One of the big darts players at the time, Eric Bristow I think it was, played it. They used to get the celebrities on playing a somewhat related game, because they had Jimmy White on, I think, playing Jimmy White's cue ball. 6 seconds left here. Is he going to do it? Of course he blimmin' ain't. Of course he blimmin' ain't. I'll have to look what game that's actually from. It wasn't specifically made for Games Master or GamesWorld, that one. That was from an actual PC game, I believe.
So, Simon, your ordeal is over. It was a tough one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It certainly was.
And his ordeal is indeed over. Simon, he goes to 7th on the leaderboard. Look at Guardiamania there at the top. He's something of a legend. How did he get 130 points? He must be really good at video games. What? Someone really good at video games coming on a video games program? Never. And this show is over. I believe at the end of the whole series they gave the person who was top of the leaderboard a big massive prize, which was probably a trip to the NEC in Birmingham or Comet, so he could go and play on the video games consoles they had set up there. I spent an inordinate amount of time on those as a kid, until I got chucked out. I had no intention of buying the games because I had no money, of course. I was flat broke. I was a school kid. I wasn't about to go out and get a paper round because working is for wussies. I'd rather go out and throw bricks at cans and try and knock them off walls and stuff, but enough about my 1950s upbringing, because this particular commentary has come to an end. As I said, next time I'll probably have our own Prince of Perfection, Grumpy Gaming HD, back with me to do another Games Master commentary. I hope you've enjoyed this. It's been a real treat for me and hopefully for you too. I used to really enjoy GamesWorld, but I'm going to stop talking because the show has now ended, and I'll see you next time. Sayonara!